Okay, so if we know that 1 is a 0 of this polynomial, what it means is that the polynomial could be rewritten like this. X minus 1. Okay, now before we continue, look, I'm using x minus 1 because plugging 1 into here would make 0. And then if you take that 0 and multiply to whatever's going to go in these parentheses, it doesn't matter, it's going to make it be a 0, okay? So that's what that 1 tells us, that x minus 1 has to be a parentheses. So the question is, what goes on in here? And to find out what that is, we're going to use something called synthetic division. Okay, so there's videos I could share how to do synthetic division if we haven't done it yet. Basically what it's doing is it's taking the original polynomial and it's dividing it by this x minus 1, and it's going to tell us what comes out. That's what goes in these dots. So the way synthetic division works is that you put the root of the divisor, so in other words that 0, in kind of like a little half rectangle here. Then copy down the coefficients, so x to the third has a 1 in front of it, 4x squared has a 4 in front of it, x has a 1 in front of it, negative 6. Okay, give yourself some space, draw a line, and the synthetic division works by first you just carry down this 1, then multiply this 1 by this 1 to make 1, then add the column. Multiply this 1 times this 5, add the column. Multiply this 1 times this 6, and by no accident, when you add this column, you get a remainder of 0, okay? Because what's left over, it's not 1x to the third plus 5x squared, because we divide by a power of x to the x to the first power. You have 1x squared plus 5x plus 6 left over. Okay, so that's what goes in those dot dot dots. We had to use synthetic division to find out what goes there. Okay, and then to finish this out, you could try factoring. You could factor this parentheses. And I think a lot of the times, though, factoring won't work. You won't be able to factor it like you did in a previous math course. So the one method that will always work to finding the other two zeros is when it's a quadratic piece, you use this quadratic formula. Okay, remember, it only works if you've got it down to a quadratic. So quick refresher. Here's the quadratic formula. A is the leading coefficient, so our A is 1. Our B is 5, and our C is 6. Okay, so if we simplify, gotta figure out what's inside the radical first. Square root, that's 25 minus 24 over 2. So this is negative 5 plus or minus 1 over 2. So negative 5 plus 1 gives you negative 4, and then negative 4 divided by 2 gives you negative 2. Negative 5 minus 1 gives you negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 gives you negative 3. So we have the other zeros, and just like before, when 1 was a 0, it had to be x minus 1. If negative 2 is a 0, it's got to be x plus 2. That way, if you plug in that negative 2, negative 2 plus 2 gives you 0. And so x plus 3 has to be that last piece. So that's f of x as a product of linear factors, okay?